What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com. If you're a blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Stranger Things. It's back, baby. We're back. This is Stranger Things Season 5, Episode 1. So, spoilers. It's a recap. I feel like I have to say these things because occasionally somebody comments. I don't get that many, but somebody will be like, "You told too much." It's a recap. That's what a recap is. It's also a review. I don't really want to recap that much. So I want to talk about first audio description. We did switch. It's International Digital Center. I think the writer's still the same. I didn't flag the writer that well, and I don't remember who wrote the first 4 seasons. I didn't go back and binge. I don't have the time for that in my life. I'll at some point maybe watch Stranger Things as a totality project later on in my life. I want to do that with a couple of shows. But yeah, it's got a new narrator, and we've got Jamie Lemchek is on board now, and it was Tansy Alexander. I don't know the reasons for that. I don't know why we changed for the final season. I don't know if Tansy was busy or if they didn't offer it, or I don't know, Tansy was like, "Oh my God, this is my time for a payday." Stranger Things, final season, I'm gonna get that 10K. I don't know, but whatever the reason was, I hope it was honest and not just like, we just don't work with Tansy. We're this company, and because you're making it for an audience. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're making it for people, and I think the people would have appreciated. I fucking love Jamie. Would have appreciated the consistency. So, and Tansy didn't die, so that's like really the only acceptable, for sure. Like, well, we've moved on because unfortunately we lost the narrator. So, I would have, unless Tansy was demanding like an insane amount of money, but if it's something else, then I don't know. Just keep Tansy. It's such a weird thing on the final season to be like, well, you've done 4 seasons, but we're not going to ask you to do the 5th one. So I hope it was her choice, and not something else, or I hope it was her fault for overplaying her hand. And not that she just wasn't asked. So secondarily, there's been a lot of conversation about Stranger Things from people who have seen more of it or whatever, and they're like, well, I've seen some of the negative comments have Stranger Things is a victim of its own success. It's no longer the kitschy cool kid anymore. It's now the accessible to everybody thing. And it's like, isn't that how everything works? Didn't you just describe everything? Didn't you? I mean, for the most part, I feel like that applies to damn near everything. Where if we go back at all, anything that has more than 1 season or more than 1 film in a franchise, inherently that happens to it. That is exactly what happens. Is it grows, and it feels like it grows more than itself. I think that's probably what people are lamenting about the Alien franchise right now. If we're being honest, is it started off as this little quaint, slasher movie-ish thing on a spaceship, right? In space, no one can hear you scream, like Jaws in space, like that kind of thing. And then it has grown into this multi-film franchise. Now with a TV series, we've mixed in with the Predator universe. It's so it continues to grow from there, and but so did Buffy. Right? So Buffy started off as a shitty movie with Christy Swanson. It is kind of it's a campy movie. It's okay. I liked it, but it's not. Nobody looks at Buffy the Vampire Slayer and goes, wow, that was a great film for our generation. And then the TV series came along and made it better. But it grew. And along with it came the Scoobies, and the Scoobies all grew along with it. And then you have Willow, who started off as like sort of a nerdy nothing, who turns into this powerful Wiccan. You have other Slayers. You have all like a werewolf coming in with Oz. I mean, like it keeps growing. True Blood started off with Sookie not knowing anything about the world in which she lived in, and then suddenly she knows about the world that she lives in. And by the end of it, it's like the people in her life have been dramatically affected and changed forever by it. The people she worked with, Tara, you know what I'm saying? Like these, this is not a thing. Even Hunger Games finds a way to upstage itself all the time. Harry Potter, the whole purpose of Harry Potter, that dude starts off in a cupboard by himself. By the end of the movie, he's fighting like the king of evil. But he's not even doing it by himself. He has this army, these friends, these followers that he's built over 7 books. I don't know what the fuck these critics are talking about when they're talking about like it's in a product that says no longer the cool kid. Everything is that way. Every fucking thing is that way. Every single motherfucking thing that you have seen refuses to stay tiny and not cool, and refuses like a budget increase, you know. It's so it's so not that. Um, I can't think of a single sci-fi horror series that has maintained that level of cool that they seem to be thrusting upon Stranger Things. And I don't think these critics are lambasting every single show that's of this ilk. And being like, why can't all these shows stay cool? Why can't they all maintain that season one coolness to them? I don't know, genuinely because you learn more about the world and you explore the lore. I mean, fuck, even From is doing that, and it's like what, third season? I mean, we've already sent one person back, and then they came back. I mean, like it's expanded upon its world, and it's going to continue to do that, and the cast is going to continue to grow. I don't know really what people expect. I can keep bringing up like ideas and options. The Walking Dead, right? They start off in one place. They're in a completely different part of the country by the end of the, you know, they've traveled distances. It's years later. The ensemble looks wildly different. The lead of the show is gone by the end of the show. So it's, I really, every single example I can think of does that. Every single example evolves because of its success. The only ones that don't are the non-successful shows. The shows that struggle, and they're struggling to be the cool kids, and they're just maintaining the same. I would say Star Trek is kind of that way, because once you get into a Star Trek mold, you end up kind of stuck there, and that's kind of your vibe for the whole time. The one distant, the kind of, uh, you know, um, I haven't seen every single Star Trek ever, right? So I would imagine this is more true of like Deep Space Nine and Voyager that didn't fully break out. Don't come at me, Star Trek fans. Listen, I mean, like the movies that came out of the Next Generation. That's what I'm talking about. Like that cast got to make movies. And I think a character like Data, who starts off as like one of, ends up getting more and more screen time because Data ends up becoming this focus. So I think if you look even at something like Star Trek The Next Generation, from start to finish, a character like Data changes and evolves. And the fact that Star Trek The Next Generation started off as a TV series and then started making movies, I would say it still grew. It still grew beyond what its original thing was. So, to the point where they felt like that they could hand off the torch, where we had Star Trek Generations. William Shatner came in there with Patrick Stewart, and they were like, "Oh my God, you're gonna make movies now. Thank you. Bye." Um, that's exactly how it happened. That was the whole plot. That was, you missed it. You just didn't see the right Star Trek Generations. So yeah, I've seen these reviews, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. What did you expect this was going to be? That they were going to dial it back? That they were going to go, no, we don't need your money, sir. We're going to work on a very limited shoestring budget for this final season. After the like apocalyptic event that we left ourselves in, and see, we're gonna return to our roots, and we're gonna act like we don't know how to make this series, and we so um yeah, sometimes counterculture becomes cool. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it gets embraced, and that's just part of life. Just when you think about all of the merchandise that like Che Guevara's face is on, and how counterintuitive that is to everything that he he thought for as a revolutionary, for him to be used as merch, it's kind of like, yeah, we do this a lot. So I don't know if it must suck to be a critic who who can't see the forest for the trees, and it just keeps running into this problem, and it's like, why is every franchise like this? And if you're unfairly throwing that on Stranger Things, that's the whole point. That's why I've taken this time out of my recap to point this out, is for the critics that are saying like Stranger Things has gotten too big, then you better damn well be addressing that with every other series that has gotten too big, which is like all of them. So you basically haven't liked anything in this genre that has ever had a sequel, that has ever had a second season, that was ever successful. So you only like the struggling shows. Like, you basically sit there and watch Firefly over and over again because it had no room to grow, even though it had Serenity. But God, that's not even a great example, because you could say, well, it grew into Serenity and it became a movie. Like, did it not? Did it lose its cool kid status then when it suddenly is in a movie now and in theaters? It wasn't even a TV movie. So I didn't intentionally think of that when I started into Firefly. I don't know what you're watching, but film criticism is in TV show is just uh, I, I'm so confused by some of you. It's just, I'm so lost. Anyway, I thought this was great. So I don't have a whole lot of time to recap because nobody's gonna sit through a 45-minute video. Everybody's alive. Except Eddie. Um, and obviously, like the other kids that died that nobody really cared about. Let's be honest. You get a brief recap at the top of this that reminds you, just in case because it's been years if you didn't do the recap. But I kind of remembered them. The basketball team is still a bunch of douchebags. Um, and Dustin's going to find that out the hard way by the end of the episode. So Dustin's trajectory is basically he remembers Eddie. He wears the Hellfire shirt, and the basketball kids keep running into him. But luckily, he's got his friend Lucas, who stands up to them, and is not part of the basketball team, I guess, anymore. And I don't know where his sister was, by the way. I didn't catch his sister at all in this. Mike's sister is in this. It's Mike's sister, right? Yeah, Mike's sister, the little one. Mike has like a little sister that pops up in this and ends up becoming sort of like oddly central to the story. So yeah, Dustin is going to end up going to, well, I guess he puts like he wants to keep Hellfire alive for Eddie. Maybe he didn't show him putting the paint and the snake in there. The Hellfire lives thing that he does to the basketball team. But then they, paint, and they can't even spell correctly on his grave. On Eddie's grave, and he goes to like clean it off, and he realizes it's blood, not paint. And then suddenly the basketball team surrounds him and they beat the shit out of Dustin. So Dustin's not really able to participate in the events of whatever else is happening, and he might be dead. So I don't know yet because I haven't seen episode 2. I'm doing these like by episode. So there's a chance that we lost Dustin this episode if they killed him. That would be a bold choice, to kill off Dustin and have him be beaten to death by a basketball team. But I'd take it. I mean, like, if it somehow fuels the rest of the plot. But basically it's about Hawkins is in lockdown. The military is taken over. Nobody comes in or out. They just have like food delivery trucks. But otherwise, the rest of Hawkins is encouraged to just continue to live life in Hawkins. They just can't leave because they may have inhaled some stuff, and the government's trying to use them as like a, to try to discover what's going on. And they're trying to find Eleven, who is off with Hopper in the woods, training, and her powers have grown. Maybe a little bit more than I would have wanted for the series. I think she's like throwing fireballs now. Um, so she's like one of the X-Men. Um, but she's trying to get under 2.5 minutes, or 12.5 minutes, so that she can go with Hopper, because that's the uh, bullshit runtime that he's given her, because he goes into the Upside Down when the military is doing these crawls, and he looks for um, Verdoc or whatever his fucking name is, that they should have killed at the end of last season, but they're not sure that they did. They don't have proof, and so they want to make sure the Upside Down. And he keeps going to the Upside Down, and they don't see anything down there. Um, and he's with um, Winona Ryder, like they're still together. She doesn't do much here, but he does chastise her for not letting Will participate more, because Will also has powers of being able to sense things, and she keeps him sheltered. And because she tries to get on him about like Elle, and he's like, well, if you would stop babying Will so much, So, the rest of the team is all working this like radio station thing where they send each other stuff in code, and so like Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, all these people are working on this thing. Um, the They end up getting word that there's going to be a crawl that night, so the trucks are going to go in, they're going to do a burn, and then they're going to go into the Upside Down. So they have to get Hopper to the things. There's this big event that gets Hopper there, and they're worried. They're like, where's Dustin? He's usually here for this kind of stuff. So Jonathan has to stand in for Dustin, because Dustin's not there because he got the life beaten out of him probably. And Hopper gets in the truck, and there's a Demogorgon, and the Demogorgon kills like everybody, uh, basically, except Hopper. And Hopper makes it away, but he's still stuck in the Upside Down, and he can't communicate out. At least within this episode. I mean, I don't know that he can't at the beginning of next episode. And that's basically where we leave it, is with Hopper trapped in the Upside Down. We're introduced to Linda Hamilton's character, who's a scientist who's working on things, and she really needs 11, but she's working on these like plants that they've taken out of the Upside Down. And her research is sort of at an impasse. What else is important? That's basically it. Lucas doesn't really do much here except for stand up for Dustin, and then he's also he chews gum. There's a conversation that Dustin's friends have that he's a part of too. But yeah, there's a comment about him chewing gum, and he's like, snipers chew gum, and they're like, you're not a sniper. So Mike, his little sister sees this invisible thing that only she can see and nobody else can see, and is trying to tell her that the monsters are still coming and all that kind of stuff, so it communicates with her. So she's afraid, so he gives her this like D&D figurine that's like a little thing with, and says, he talks about, well, when I have Mike the hero, or I can't remember what his thing is called. It's a nice moment. He gives her a little toy and says, this will protect you. And, no need to talk to Mr. What's-It. Unfortunately, she goes home and hears a conversation about how her parents think she's crazy. Here's her parents talking about her being crazy, talking to herself. And so she kind of goes back in her room. She's holding this little figurine, and Mike's not there because he's off doing this crawl thing. And at that time, it seems like the Demogorgon has gotten out of the Upside Down, and then it like starts with the lighting in the house and everything. And the episode ends with like the Demogorgon like ripping into the house, and like into her bedroom specifically, like coming for her. So I don't know. I got nothing on that because that's where the episode ends. So I don't think they're gonna kill that little girl at the beginning of the next episode, but it's interesting that all of a sudden we picked up on her. Yeah, the only character that I noticed that was missing was Lucas's little sister. I don't know where she went. I know she exists. She didn't die last season. She just doesn't seem to be like an active participant in everything that they're doing. It's possible that she popped up and it just didn't catch it in the audio description, but she was not like she didn't have a task. We're still keeping up the LGBTQ storyline that's happening with Robin and I forget her name. I'm sure I'll remember it when she's in more episodes and becomes more relevant to the plot. But she's a nurse and works at the hospital. Um, and yeah, that's Max has not woken up, and Lucas continues to go sit by her bed, as does who else was there? Mike, Will, somebody, one of those other people were there. Were there waiting, trying to get Max to wake up. So I'm sure she'll wake up. The fact that they've included her, I don't think she's gonna spend the entire season in a coma. So she'll be back at some point for doing something, I'm sure. But yeah, that's all the main points. I thought the little radio show thing at the very beginning was kind of kitschy and cute, and I liked it. It was fun. It was a fun way to start the show. Like you know, if you live in Hawkins, this is what you got to do. Remember, we have the military now, so watch yourself. I mean, a little like update on the slight passage of time since last season. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I had to try to point out some negative stuff, it's really hard after one episode, like to come down on Stranger Things and be like, what would I be doing differently? What are you doing wrong? It's just like nitpicky stuff. It's nothing really, and without knowing how it plays out, it's really hard to see something. And I'm not going to be the guy who accuses other critics of not seeing the forest for the trees and then do the same thing, because I don't know why certain things are being introduced the way that they are, and if it's not going to play out. So if something leads to something else, and that thing ends up being purposeful and cool and inventive and fresh, then why would I give it shit after the first? I think this one just had a lot of energy for a season premiere, and I'm excited about Stranger Things. This will probably be right now range between like a 9.5 for me. So yeah, if I had to pick like one quibble, it would be Elle's powers. And just maybe she's a little OP. Maybe just dial it back a tiny bit. Especially at the top of the season, like, where does she go from here? Is she gonna start flying? Like, I feel like flight is within her grasp by the end of the season. Teleportation? I don't know. She's just gonna unlock all the powers. But yeah, she's maybe a little too badass now. But I can't wait to see how they use that. So I'm still excited. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys with a recap of episode 2 tomorrow.